Hi Virgo, welcome to your monthly. This is the second month in a row. Like so, we are close in about 5 days. This channel is going to be 1 month old. And again, I want to thank you for supporting the channel and to please subscribe, like, share, and leave comments. So this month I'm trying something different, and since you kind of like guys got this like elaborate reading for the weekly, and if you didn't check it because this weeklies are still fresh and the weeklies are coming up on Wednesday. So of course, the more you participate by sharing, liking, subscribing, commenting, the faster are going to get it the next spin around. Um, so since you got extended spread for the signs that actually participate more, you kind of get a little bit more in these weeklies. I kind of like decided to give you like the really elaborate kind of monthly as well. And so we're going to have a tarot spread, Vera Sibelius spread, and Lenormand spread. And also we'll have angel cards, and we're going to see if we get the same messages, because tarot is supposed to kind of like give you, well, that's the theory. The tarot is supposed to give you the inside and kind of like processes of the mind. And this is more giving the on the outside what's happening, kind of matter of fact. And since there's so many Virgos over here, not everybody's having the same story. So this way can give me all kind of different stories. So, and in the end, we're going to check with Lenormand exactly what, is the thought process of male and female Virgos. So this is also good for Virgo who are Virgo ascendant, not only for the sun sign, but Venus in Virgo and Moon in Virgo. So also check the other signs where you maybe have a Venus or Moon. Sorry, I'm tired and just want to shake it off to kind of like really give you this reading because it's actually really good. Just to give you some of the thoughts that I'm noticing when doing the Taroscopes, there is like sort of shift in the universe where everybody is learning something, and everybody is learning something that is not their element. So your earth element, and you probably see, I'm seeing here the sky, I'm seeing here emotions, I'm seeing fire. So everybody is learning about the element that is not theirs. And this is basically putting ourselves out of comfort zone. And this is kind of getting us to 2.0 kind of like situation, and it's really good. But it's kind of uncomfortable while we're going through. I notice that every sign is doing it, and everybody's a little bit out of their element. So keep that in mind when dealing with other people. Like you Virgos are very pragmatic, you're really down to earth, you really want to kind of like ensure that every step and detail of your life is kind of well taken care of, that you care for your health, that you care for the loved ones. This is really like first and foremost for you, and kind of like we'll see how this evolves. So let me go to it, and we will kind of like start gluing them all together in the end. So one of your bottom cards over here are reversed 7 of fire and 6 of fire. So this was like 2 in a row, like stages, like where kind of like, again, it's a passion, and fire torches earth. And that means like, this had to be grounded. So this is kind of victorious stage, and this is like what happens after victory. You have to kind of defend your turf. So now it's inversed. You don't feel very victorious, and you really don't feel like you have to defend anything. In fact, you really don't care about winning right now. How do I know that? I know because the base card is the floating cat. You're kind of like approaching things and want to see it from a different kind of direction, sort of like just to give you the encompassing personality. And as far as this fire kind of like that you have it here, and this is kind of opposite to your earth sign, like you have a fire king. You're having an eye on a man, or you have somebody who is fire sign, like a Sagittarius, Aries, or a Leo, or somebody who exhibits kind of like charismatic, charming abilities, somebody who is like really action oriented and very dynamic. So lesson of the month is sort of like learn how to deal with such a fiery person. This is really not you. Usually when you go for a partner, you go for somebody down to earth, very reliable, etc., etc. But right now, that kind of comfort, the 10 of earth, is kind of like you're leaving behind, just like the other fire. So this is like your element that you're like inverting, you're turning it upside down. So The starting point is like inverse strength. You kind of like feel weak, right? You feel like things are like somebody's removing the rug under your feet. And this is actually combined with your needs. And what would Earth sign need? Of course, you need something reliable. Look at the Six of Earth, like what I was telling you about. You want to take care for your loved ones. You want to share. You want to make sure that everybody's like well taken care of, that everybody's fed, that they feel this warmth from you, and you don't feel really strong enough to provide them. So like you're striving to do that at the same time, kind of dealing with all these elements, looking things from a different kind of angle, and yet kind of like exploring yourself, who you really are. And it's kind of interesting because like you have 2 and 4, you have the Emperor in your emotions. So even though you don't feel strong enough, you do feel intuitive enough to go deep inside of yourself and look for the answer and kind of unveil anything that is hidden. And that's maybe because also you're looking at things from a different perspective and gaining the control of yourself to that level that what surrounds you and what basically you really deeply feel is actually happiness. You actually do feel comfort, and you kind of like are willing to go into this emotional world. But don't stay there too long, because what you need to overcome is that people can be very sneaky. That, look at this, the keys, like just distracted, birds in the sky, and this is what is basically being stolen. So this is the card of a thief. I really don't like to see this card. And in your case, it's in a position of something that you need to overcome. So either somebody is taking away your partner or taking away your ideas, or, intuitively, that something is not really working out. And I don't know which one you are. Maybe you are taking away from somebody else. That can be as well that energy. And sort of like you need to kind of like redeem yourself. It's all ending well, because even though, you kind of didn't feel strong enough, you did go with the flow, and you are getting this, couplehood, you're getting this love, you're getting this partnership as kind of the culmination of the month. So even though it was a lack of strength, you are going to find others who are going to give you comfort. And kind of balance you out in the end. So basically that earthy feeling that you started with is going to end up like emotionally well. So even though you felt really, really good over here, and then you had to kind of bridge this discomfort or some kind of negative, you're going to end up on top. So really, really good in the cards, even though you're going to dealing with lots of unknown energies, and it's going to be ups and downs. So just kind of like it's going to be really mixed month. In your love cards, you've got this one. Interestingly enough, past life relationship. You have known each other before. What a lovely card over here. And I guess that will kind of link this with the Priestess card, which kind of intuitively understands, and maybe this is where this kind of like comfort comes from, because that's where you feel nurtured, that's where you feel in control. That's why the Emperor, and this is this kind of relationship that is coming through with possibly somebody who's a fire sign or very charismatic. And that's why this feeling of winning or losing is not important anymore, because you kind of recognize something, that did come back to this life to kind of like repeat. Maybe there is, it could be karmic, it could be like, basically soulmate connection. So it is just really up in the air, and you are just going through emotions and trying to experience. So let me try to move camera over here, so now you can see this other spread, which is way more complex. So that way we can see what is going on here. So what's basically happening with vestibular spread, like as I told you in the introduction, we have lots of storylines. We have a guy, we have a young woman, we have the lady or sweetheart, which is you. This can be you, this can be a gentleman, this can be you, the wife, this can be a guy, Virgo. So you will try to recognize yourself in the story and how this basically interferes, because like now this is picking up the energies of all of you Virgos and kind of like reading this energy. So where do we start? Let's start with this young lady. This young lady basically had kind of pretty interesting situation that she kind of brought with herself. She really doesn't feel in control whatsoever. Like very much unlike this card. So this young lady most likely is not you Virgos, because this is somebody who came from just a situation of severe misfortune. This is the worst card in this deck. And this is way worse than Tower card, because people here are burning inside. In Tower card, they are jumping off the tower and still they can kind of save themselves. See, this woman went through the ringer. She was like sick, and then she was dreaming of some kind of happy ending, had a really hope, but some kind of like message brought this kind of message of this misfortune, and that basically didn't happen. She, however, is moving forward still with her dreams. So maybe it is you after all, because even though maybe that's the past that brought her over here, and it could relate to this, it kind of like was kind of this loss of comfort over here, and kind of like it was that infighting, because in her future we see a reunion of the gentleman, and this is somebody who is willing to fight for her. This is somebody who is going to kind of shower her with some kind of gifts. So this is like happening right now for this lady over here. And there is this gentleman over here, so it's either a Scorpio or somebody you have an eye on, who kind of like is professional, possibly somebody who also went through some kind of turmoil in himself, and who also kind of like is considering, he's really considering thinking about, reunion of his own. In fact, he actually does have, and with this guy, it's going to be through some kind of service. So if you know this guy, you know him, or if you're this guy, you know him through some kind of service. And there is kind of mixture of interesting feelings. You have love, but you have sides. So it is kind of like mixed bag, right? So you have a love, you have melancholy, and kind of like getting rid of this melancholy and kind of coming up on top in the end. So then we have this guy over here. That could be another guy that you're after, who, again, just like this young woman, because it's on the bottom of the deck, doesn't feel that powerful. In his past, it's also kind of like something that he tried, and something that he fought for. He tried to get some new kind of beginning, but it more looks like in his business, and he's some kind of service business that he was trying to, or he's trying to establish himself over here. So interesting thing is like that somehow these people could be interconnected, or this can be like one layer of the personality and the second layer of the personality, because they also kind of like knight each other. So there is also some friend that kind of like this guy has a friend. It doesn't have to be necessarily a woman, and the friend could be either married or can kind of like more or less try to guide this guy towards somebody else who is feeling really sad. So I don't know if this is some kind of third-party relationships, and oh my god, this is like with every sign. I don't know what's going on with this. Can't somebody just like, just devote to love without all these kind of complications? It's just like really unnerving when you really look at it. So this story is kind of complicated because everything is happening. Look at this, like we have a woman, we have a young woman, we have a young guy, we have a wife, then we have an enemy. Just like, oh my god. And nobody feels in control. This is like literally everybody's like feeling down. This young woman feels the most of the turmoil. This guy feels he needs to fight. This friend is like kind of divided. Looks like that was a friend, and maybe they could be married, and kind of like she feels divided and try to console this wife who kind of like feels she lost it. And then we have a sweetheart, which could be you as well, who kind of like also feels there was another person who kind of like messed up her life and kind of like created all these issues, or maybe she feels that she was not communicated properly, that this guy is trying to clear his situation. And I don't really see if this is a wife. I don't see divorce anywhere here. This is like just unclear communication. So what's basically happening for her, this one here is like the one who is kind of clearing things out for herself. She wants things to be done properly. She wants things to be done in an intimate session, and she's going to be really communicating properly. And she can expect some kind of gift. And what you see her in the past, she kind of like did experience this relationship, or you guys, if that's you identifying with her, where kind of like it was a lots of, I don't know how would I call it, but you didn't feel that this guy was serious enough, and yet you kind of like didn't tolerate that, and kind of move into kind of feeling proud of yourself, and brought kind of a decision that you're going to be loyal and that you're demanding that certain things kind of end for you. So you kind of wised up and renegotiated a new deal where you kind of like put kind of like a foot down to what kind of like base you want. And yet, even though this happened, she's still currently feeling a little bit unhappy, or maybe she feels that for her to get what she wants, she would have to make somebody feel unhappy and gain an enemy. And this is not making her kind of comfortable, because you see, she's not crossing with any of these kind of lovers. This woman here is like moving ahead alone. So the other woman here has this woman in the future, and she knows, even though if she gets this guy and again she's not crossing with this guy, that it's going to be somebody in the future. And she also feels that, you know, she feels wronged, and she feels that this woman is causing her unhappiness, right? And that, you know, she's not wise enough, and that she can cause her breakup of the relationships because of her, you know, indulgence. She doesn't understand that maybe she has her own story, and she needs this love, and that this is basically promise she was given, and things happen. So then we have this guy who kind of like wants to try something new and solid, but he feels he kind of like is robbed of his feelings, and they just like end up nowhere. And he's fighting, and kind of he's not sure really what to trust and what he's fighting for, because then he has the enemy. And you know, it almost looks like that the woman he's fighting for, you, if that's you, are going to kind of give up fighting, and you might actually want to kind of break the relationship and sort of like keep him in the past and move on completely alone and free. On the other hand, if this is you and if this is your starting point, right now you're moving on, like as a single who is kind of going to obtain a little bit more self-knowledge. And this kind of goes back to this card, like you're feeling very intuitive right now. You are not going to compromise, because you do know what is going to make you happy. You do know that you need to be in control, that you cannot let somebody kind of like control your life. So that's actually the only, not the only, that's really good news, that really everybody's somehow feeling down. Everybody's in the lower end of the spread. So he's here, this one is here, and this one is here, this one is here, this one is here. So like the lower that you are down, like the less control of the situation you have. So this guy maybe has a little bit more of a control, but yet, you know, he's coming with this turmoil from the past, you know, and he's still kind of going through the fights and arguments. So what the complexity of this is that you guys are feeling that you don't want to harm anybody. So you see this card over here, where basically this is theft. You are preventing this. So I guess here it was like what you need to overcome, and looks like you're really overcoming it. You're not going to negotiate to harm somebody to get your own love, because you would not feel, you know, that you got anything. Like, you know, that's why it's saying here, I don't want to be a winner, right? And I don't want to fight. And this is basically showing loud and clear over here. So lastly, what I'm going to do, we are going to use Lenormand spread, and we're going to kind of read the inner world of all these players. So you can be either a gentleman or the lady. So if you are a Virgo woman, that's going to be you. If you're looking for a gentleman, that's going to be this guy over here. So, February 15th, February 19th, March 20th. Okay. So, what this is going to give us? Going to give us some kind of cycle that's going to be happening this month. And also keep in mind that these cards are just like, made to look like tarot cards, but they are not read the same way, and they don't have the same kind of layers as tarot has. So nothing to really worry about. And these guys are always read upward, so that's why I'm flipping the cards. Okay, so let me see. He's starting with Tower, but that's not the Tower from Tarot. In Tarot, Tower is the worst card in the deck. In this deck, this is a really good card. It shows being established. It's a little bit of phallic symbol as well, but more or less authority being established, so kind of firm basics. So looks like, he's establishing, there is the guy that you're looking at who does have some kind of secrets. So he could be a professional who does want to settle down, but he has some kind of secrets, and he is afraid that either he's going to be betrayed or that he will betray you. And this is why he's really choosing carefully, and maybe this is why that's related to that kind of huge confusion and nobody knew what the heck is going on. Everybody's like in their own, like a movie and storyline. But these crossroads are going to kind of shed the light on the whole situation, and this dude is going to communicate that, and he's going to feel comfort zone. The fish means comfort and job and money, and it looks like, he needs to feel this way in order kind of like to have his vision and his path. So that's the guy you're looking at. This is what basically is going through his head. And keep in mind this kind of snake, anchor and snake together. If you're dealing with this guy, I would ask these questions. What are the secrets that you don't know? Because if you want a relationship, you want this like complete honesty. On the other end, like if you're a guy or if you're a woman, this is basically your thing for a month. You are going to be lucky in love or lucky in feeling comfort. So this is kind of this card over here. So even though this thing is happening around you, people are taking things away from you, you're still kind of like glorious. You still kind of end up winning. You're going to get what you want, and you're not going to jeopardize your morals or your ethics to get there, because it's going to be a travel trip somewhere, or it's going to be something. Again, this is like meaning that you're not going to jeopardize again your morals and ethics, and you're going to communicate things no matter how hard they are. And you feel when this is communicated, so like this guy, you're going to be forced to communicate in order to start something new. And this can actually also mean a baby, because you have a child and a stork together. A child can mean a new beginning, and this also can be lovebirds and communication, and this also can represent somebody really tall or somebody with really long legs. The end is like she's going to feel that something has been eaten away, eroded. There will be some little bit small problems, but it's really minor, nothing really big. But just keep in mind the snake and the mice, right? And even though she's going to feel it, she maybe will not understand the extent of it. And you see he's looking at this snake, and this is kind of really upsetting him. He understands he has to fess up. And the only thing is after he fesses up that kind of the road is opening to him. You guys instinctively know that, like your heart is so pure, but you also understand that there is some kind of cross to bear, or this could be just simply christening of the child or something that is happening. Again, it's very loving energy. It's like, again, you have a lovebird twice over here. You have luck, which is not the greatest luck. This is kind of very, very, very big luck. So this guy in the end is going to kind of come through and be lucky and communicate. So he has a communication. You have a communication. You know, he has some dubious things, let's call it. You have something that's eating away, but you know what? Life is not perfect. This is actually a pretty good reading. You are getting what you want. You are sort of feeling happy. He is dealing with his issues. There is this kind of intuitive part over here. This could be this past life relationship that you guys are dealing in, understanding, you know. Well, let's not go through one more rinse. Let's kind of like communicate in this life the way we should. And things sort of like end up happily ever after. Like there is the beginning of a relationship, of a communication. Road is clear. This means communicating. This means communicating. This means communicating. This means communicating and hope. So, good month, Virgo. Really good month. From all the signs that I did so far, you guys are taking up the high road. So what Michelle Obama says, when they go down, we go up. So it's a good quote. I'll leave you with that. And just remember that weeklies are coming on Wednesdays. And the more likes and shares and comments you leave, that faster it's going to come out, maybe before Wednesday. And again, thank you so much for supporting this channel. That means a lot to me. And until the next time, I love you.